everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Em, and I'm currently on a journey where I am watching all of the Disney animated films in chronological order and ranking them on a tier list with my husband. And before we talk about our thoughts, I always like to do a little bit of history and a fun facts moment to kind of give context to the moments that created these stories. And Lady and the Tramp was released on June 22nd, 1955, and premiered at the State Lake Theater in Chicago. The voice cast includes singer Peggy Lee, who played Darling, Peg, and the Siamese cats. It stars Barbara Luddy as Lady, Bill Thompson as Jock and other voices, and he played the White Rabbit and Mr. Smee. Verna Felton as Aunt Sarah, who had also played the fairy godmother in Cinderella and the Queen of Hearts in Alice in Wonderland. Lady and the Tramp is loosely based on a true story, at least there's parts that have inspiration. So in 1925, Walt had been hard at work trying to grow the Disney Brothers studio, which later became the Disney Studio, Walt Disney Studio, the company that we know it today. Due to this, time at home with his wife Lillian was sacrificed, and one night Walt was focused on completing a cartoon and stayed at the studio all night while she waited for him to come home. On the Wikipedia, it says, while she waited patiently. I'm sorry, as a wife, if my husband did not come home, I would not be waiting patiently. Once it became time for bed, I would no longer be waiting patiently. But that's just me. And then Walt then decided to get her a dog for Christmas to make up for it. So she had previously shown distaste for dogs, but Walt had asked her what breed she wanted regardless, and she said a chow. So Walt bought the dog on Christmas Eve from a local kennel and kept it at his brother Roy's house until Christmas morning, and then on Christmas Day, the dog was given to Lillian in a hat box like in the film. In 1937, storyboard artist Joe Grant pitched the idea for a film inspired by the antics of his English Springer Spangle named Lady, and the changes that happened when they welcomed a baby. He then presented his sketches for the concept, and Walt loved them, asking Grant to then start development on the new animated feature. A rough outline of the story was finished in 1940. It contained two Siamese cats named Nip and Tuck as secondary characters, kind of like secondary antagonists. And Walt, in the Disneyland segment about Lady and the Tramp, said, quote, "We were free to develop the story as we saw fit, which is not the case when you work on a classic. Then you must adhere rigidly to the sequences conceived by the author, which are familiar to your audience. Here as the characters came to life and the scenes took shape, we were able to alter, embellish, eliminate, and change to improve the material," close quote. And in 1943, the story development was resumed when Walt decided that the story would be an animated feature. Joe Grant pitched the new story outline, and while Walt loved it, he felt that the story was only half complete. And then in 1937, Walt read the story Happy Dan the Whistling Dog by Ward Green, which was then published in 1945 in the Cosmopolitan, and he fell in love, and Happy Dan would help to shape the character of Tramp. Walt contacted Ward Green, stating, quote, "Your dog and my dog have got to get together." Green then rewrote his story to be titled Happy Dan the Whistling Dog and Miss Patsy the Beautiful Spaniel, which Walt quickly acquired the rights to. An early version was set in San Francisco during the 1906 earthquake, with Mary Blair being initially assigned as the art director, but she left the studio in 1953. I'm really sad because, guys, I love Mary Blair, and so this is kind of just the end of an era. It makes me sad, but it's okay. She's fine. She went on to go do other things in her life. I know that she illustrated some storybooks. I know that she went and she did some freelance work on ads. I did some research about that because I was like, where did Mary Blair go? That's just what she did. I think she just decided she needed something different, and that's okay. Possible names for Tramp were Homer, Rags, and Bozo. And while Green's story helped for inspiration, it did not influence Lady and the Tramp much. So it helped, but it didn't fully influence. Yeah. And in 1944, Walt had heard the radio play version of the Cosmopolitan story titled Lady, which led him to hire the author to write a version of the story for the film. He wrote an expanded story outline which contained the suggestion of musical numbers. His version resembled the final film, but with some differences. In his version, Lady was also romantically pursued by Hubert, a pompous dog who lives next door, and the rat was named Herman and had a sly personality. In 1944, Joe Grant wrote a short story titled Lady. This is not to be confused with the previously mentioned radio show titled Lady. It gets a little confusing here. But Joe Grant, who we talked about previously, wrote a short story titled Lady, and it was published in the book Walt Disney's Surprise Package. This version was closer to the finished film, with Lady protecting the baby from the two Siamese cats who were owned by the mother-in-law. It does not say whose mother-in-law, and Lady is then blamed for the mess, but then is proven innocent, and the mother-in-law leaves with the cats. Yeah. A story conference was held on September 25th of 1945 of the story artist and Walt to expand on Joe Grant's story. This is when the story was expanded to have settings outside of the Darlings' house. The dog pound storyline was suggested, and the mother-in-law was changed to Aunt Sarah in order to avoid negative ties to Jim Deere and Darling. But then it still begs the question, it was supposed to be a mother-in-law character, but isn't that just someone's mother? Isn't that just one of their mothers? So I don't understand why it was. This is just me overthinking it. But anyway, I guess an aunt is far enough removed compared to a parent of one of either Jim Deere or Darling. They needed to be good and moral people. And I don't know, because I don't know, sometimes people can raise kids that are opposite of them, so I don't know. And during this meeting, Walt suggested Tramp for the name of the leading man, I guess, dog? Not leading man, I guess the dog? And it was suggested that he be a mongrel, to which Walt agreed, but stated that he needs to be neat-looking as he is the leading man, and compared him to Cary Grant. During this meeting, it was also suggested that real dogs be brought into the studio in order to be studied. Walt wanted the name of the film to be Lady and the Tramp, which had some objections and concerns about film distribution. And then story development was put on hold to focus on the package films at the time. In 1952, Roy encouraged Walt to continue working on Lady and the Tramp, with the stipulation that production costs stay low and its release begins in smaller theaters. Walt held 2 independent polls within the animation department to gauge whether there was still interest in the project. According to Walt, his result helped build his confidence and was convinced that they would have a film that would, quote, be a change of pace in many ways. Walt then held a story conference which had 26 employees in attendance on May 15, 1952. In June of the same year, the $2.5 million budget and the release of 1954 would be announced. Joe Grant had left the studio in 1949, so the final story development was done by other people. In 1953, a solid story began to be created based on Joe Grant's storyboards and Ward Green's story. Hubert was replaced with Jock and Trusty. Originally, the names for Lady's owners were going to be Jim Brown and Elizabeth, which were changed to Jim Deere and Darling to highlight her perspective. There's a big theory, which is probably actually true, but Jim Deere and Darling are probably just what they call each other, and so that's why Lady calls them that. And the Siamese cats were renamed from Nip and Tuck to C and which maybe I didn't pay attention. I don't think that's anywhere, like, actually in the movie. I don't like those names. I feel like they're kind of a hate crime. In fact, everything with the Siamese cats are kind of a hate crime. And the rat was also changed to be more realistic to raise dramatic tension. When Peggy Lee was hired to co-compose the songs for the film, she was shown the storyboards. During this time, Trusty was written to be killed by the dog catcher's wagon. Okay, this quote has a spoiler for another film. So if you haven't seen Bambi, I would advise you skip this quote. But I digress. So Peggy Lee recalled, quote, "I was like a small child. The rat scared me. And when Trusty was killed, I was so upset. I'm very sentimental about animals. It made me cry. I said, 'Oh, Walt, you can't do this.' And he said, 'You have to have some tension in the story. It would change everything if he's not killed.' And I said, 'But if you kill him, the children will cry too much, like with Bambi,' although I had never seen Bambi." So he said finally, "Well, all right. Old Trusty can live, but the rat stays." Okay. In my opinion, that's perfectly fine. Because, I don't know, you're going to hear it in my thoughts, but I had a very big reaction to what happened to Trusty. And at Walt's request, Ward Green wrote a novel version of Lady and the Tramp, which was published in 1953, with the goal that audiences would already be familiar with the story when they saw it in theaters. The book was actually titled Lady and the Tramp, The Story of Two Dogs, and featured a foreword by Walt, and the illustrations were storyboard sketches. Due to the novel version of the film, Joe Grant was not given any credit for the work on the film and building the story. He has stated that he never forgave Walt for it. In 2006, in the documentary for the DVD, however, he is given the credit he deserves. Barbara Luddy, who plays Lady, is best known for radio and was chosen from a dozen auditions and would go on to voice other Disney characters. Larry Roberts, who plays Tramp, was also known more in the theater world. He got the part after a story artist had seen him perform in a local theater production. Stan Freberg, who voiced the beaver, came up with the lisp by speaking his lines with a whistle near his mouth. One of the directors, Hamilton Lusk, brought in his dog Blondie to serve as the live-action model for Lady. A stray dog was selected to be the reference for Tramp and ran away and was not found for days. He eventually came back, though, I think, and he was relocated to Disneyland, living on the pony farm. Wolfgang Reitherman, who animated the rat fight, kept multiple rats in a cage by his desk in order to study their movement and behavior. While reviewing the animation one day, Walt decided that several animators were too focused on the details and not enough on the characters, so he signed them to Sleeping Beauty for 6 months and then brought them back to work on Lady and the Tramp in hopes that they would be inspired again and like their vim and vigor would be back. To compensate for the time lost, animators had to work 6 days a week to finish the film on time. Walt chose turn of the century New England as it resonated with him and his childhood growing up in Missouri. Specifically, it's very inspired by his hometown of Marceline, Missouri. And Claude Coates, the key background artist, studied photographs of Los Angeles' mansions that were built in that era that reflected the gingerbread architecture. He also built models of the house to help with the dog's perspective that would be shown in the film and took pictures to help with the perspective. At this time, the invention of CinemaScope had been created, so this was a process that took specialized lenses and used them to compress images to a widescreen projection. And this created some challenges as animators had difficulties with remembering that characters had to move across a background instead of the background passing behind them. Due to this expansion of the screen, it also made it difficult for only one character to be present. So to fix this, groups of characters were spread out in order to avoid the screen feeling sparse. And this created greater realism, but meant that there were less close-up shots, and so longer takes were necessary. It was not decided until midway through production that the film would be projected in CinemaScope, which it was marketed as the first full-length animated film to do so. And the film was delayed due to the CinemaScope process. Layout artists took more time to frame each shot than the other animated films, and this also led to the cost of background art to rise significantly. Close to the theatrical release, it was learned that not every theater had the capabilities of CinemaScope, and this led another version of the film to be produced where key scenes had to be restructured if characters were on the edges of the screen. And this was the last film to be scored by Oliver Wallace, who had scored every Disney animated film since Dumbo. So, say goodbye to Oliver Wallace. We love him. He did very fine work on this. And we're moving on. It's sad. I feel like this is a point in the studio where quite a few people are just starting to move on. And it kind of makes me misty-eyed. And I don't know why this makes me a little sad, but that's okay. I know that Disney is moving on to bigger and better things. Like, this is also the year that Disneyland opened. Like, Disneyland opened only like a few weeks after Lady and the Tramp was released. And during its initial release, Lady and the Tramp made more than any Disney animated feature since Snow White. I saw Snow White or Cinderella, but I could not back that claim up. More than any Disney animated feature since Snow White or Cinderella, earning $78.7 million when adjusted for inflation. Lady and the Tramp has a combined gross of $121 million domestically and $207.5 million internationally. Peggy Lee was asked to help promote the 1987 VHS release, which she was paid for. However, a lawsuit occurred between her and Disney when they breached her original 1952 contract, which denied the right to make, quote, transcriptions available without her approval. Michael Eisner. We can get into things later. Michael Eisner is a very interesting character. My opinion about Michael Eisner keeps changing. This is a moment where I'm not happy with Michael Eisner, and so now my opinion of Michael Eisner is not great. But sometimes when I learn things, it's okay, and then other times I'm like, ugh, Michael Eisner. This is a moment where I'm not happy with Michael Eisner. So Michael Eisner, who was the CEO at the time, refused to pay her the royalties. In November of 1988, she sued Disney for breach of contract, claiming that she had the rights to the transcription and that the video releases are transcriptions. In March of 1991, she won, winning $3.8 million at the time, which is $9 million when adjusted for inflation. It is also estimated that she made 4% of the video sales. The Siamese Cat song was cut from the 2019 live-action remake. The film used to contain a content warning, but when we watched it, it no longer does. In fact, I've seen that none of the films that used to have content warnings have content warnings anymore. I don't know when Disney quietly got rid of them, because I don't think it made a splash when they got rid of them. I know it made a splash when they chose to put them on there. I don't have an opinion on the content warnings here or there. I know that it was removed from certain ages of kids' accounts, so like younger than 6. I disagree with that decision. I talk about that more in my Peter Pan video. So if you want to know more my opinion on that, that's in my Peter Pan video. But I do disagree with the decision of taking it off of kids' accounts, because that doesn't, I don't know, then parents don't really have the agency to show that to their kids. It's a whole thing that I kind of get into more in my Peter Pan video. So if you want to know my opinion on that, you can watch my Peter Pan video. And Time Magazine named it one of the 25 best animated movies. If you're a longtime viewer of the channel, or if you've seen all of my videos, you know I have beef with the Time Magazine 25 best animated movies list because of South Park. It's back, everyone. An article ranking a Disney movie on it that has the South Park movie on it. I do not like South Park. And that's all I need to explain. I don't feel I need to explain myself and why I don't like South Park, because I feel like if you don't like if you know South Park, the writing's on the wall for why I don't like South Park. But that's neither here nor there. And from 1955 to 1988, Scamp, Lady, and Tramp's son had his own comic series. Scamp's Adventure was released in 2001, and I will actually be covering this film later. So, Disney animated movies, covers, I'm covering all the Disney tune. It's a cop-out to not cover everything, and I said, why not? Why not? And the live-action version of Lady and the Tramp premiered as a Disney Plus exclusive with the launch of the streaming service in 2019. And in 2023, the film was selected to be preserved by the Library of Congress. Tony's Town Square restaurant can be found at Disney World, and before I say this name, please understand that this is French people talking about Italians. Pizzeria Bella Notte in Disneyland, Paris. I don't have words. Because the restaurant in the movie is called Tony's. So why is it called Pizzeria Bella Notte? And the hyena laugh that is heard in kind of the zoo scene is used as a stock laughter sound effect specifically for the hyenas in It's a Small World. It's in other movies. If you want to spot it, you can spot it. But that's all I have. So if you stick around, you can hear my husband and I's thoughts about Lady and the Tramp and its ranking on our tier list. So we just finished Lady and the Tramp, and I have seen this one before. It's been a while. You'd never seen it before.
Nope, never seen it.
So funny story that I want to start off with right off the bat here. I was left unattended as a child. So I was like 4 years old. So I scratched the disc of Lady and the Tramp. But I still remembered quite a few scenes of it. I don't know why. Maybe we had a book of it, because I specifically remember the rat scene. But I don't remember this scene. I don't know. Maybe there are some scenes that stuck in my brain, even though I'd seen it only a few times as a kid.
This very youngest child behavior is destroying things that the family holds dear. And getting, you know what's the best part? You probably did not even get any consequences for that. Your parents were like, oh, darn, we shouldn't have left her with that. And then they just, took it from you.
The funny thing is, so my parents have lived in the same house since I was, 4 years old. So we've lived in the same house. But I remember when I scratched the disc, it was a portable DVD player. And I remember exactly where I was sitting. And I remember the DVD had ended. And I popped it out. And I was like, oh, I started playing with it. And then, but the thing is, I did get consequences for it. Well, my parents didn't punish me for it, but I was made fun of mercilessly for years for this thing. It'd be like, remember that you scratched the Lady in the Tramp disc? And I'd be like, when I was like 4, okay. Anyway, but was that punishment for anybody but myself? I couldn't watch Lady and the Tramp anymore. I don't know why it's taken me this long to actually fully sit down and rewatch it, but I'm glad I did, because dang, this is kind of a good movie.
Yeah, it's good.
Like,
I liked it.
It's kind of very slept on. Like, it has a lot of beautiful moments. And,
what I like about it is it has a very simple premise. You know, it's basically about a dog dealing with change in the family, right? Very, very simple premise. But then they do a lot with it, and they make it interesting. And they go, okay, well, not only is the dog dealing with change, but they're now kind of dealing with separation because the caretaker clearly doesn't like dogs. So
this is an Aunt Sarah hate group. We do not like Aunt Sarah here. Certified Aunt Sarah haters.
she definitely gives the vibe of crazy cat lady.
Oh, 100%. She gives the vibe of, like, I don't know how to say this. Like, those people where, like, if their kid ruins your crap, they say, oh, well, my kid ruined your crap. And she also gives the vibe of if, like, her kids would pin it on other kids, and then she'd believe them.
Yeah.
That's the vibe she gives off.
I don't know. To me, she seems like the type to be unmarried and unchild in her 60s or 70s or wherever she is.
Because she's a bitter woman, and no one wants a bitter woman.
True.
Anyway, old spindler. Old spinster with her cats.
Cats. Yes, the cats that are... They push it. I don't think they cross the line. Like what happened to Peter Pan or some of the other films. I don't think they cross the line of like full cultural appropriation to where it's kind of uncomfortable. I understand. To me, I think with the cats and the dogs and stuff, I see it the same way as the crow in Dumbo, is where it's like, you know, the Siamese cats, which is a Chinese breed. Of course, they're going to be Chinese. Or you have the one dog or the various dogs that are, they're different culture, but you have the one that's Russian, and he's big into Russian literature.
He scared me. I don't know why his long lankiness
She freaked out when I told her that some dogs really do have long noses like that.
It was really scary, and I don't know why. Just the idea of a really long, lanky dog. And I know wiener dogs exist. Trust me, I'm well aware. My dad had a wiener dog growing up. But, like, I don't know why the way that dog is drawn scared me so bad.
I'm going to look one up while you're talking.
No! Don't. I'm going to have nightmares. But, okay. The other dogs I'm okay with. The Siamese cats, I just have a big problem with. I don't know. I don't like the characters, but also I think...
Yeah, I think it's pronounced bourgeois.
I don't like that! I don't like him at all!
You don't like their long noses?
No! Why do they look like that? They're freaks of nature. They look like skinwalkers.
I love them.
Why did they look like that?
Bourgeois.
No, I hate that.
Can we get one?
No, they're as big as me. We can't. I think we're in wackadoodle time right now. Anyway, the cats. I don't like the cats, and I think my mom was actually very happy that I scratched the disc because she does not like that song. Whenever, like, we'd have those Disney CDs where it'd just be a bunch of Disney songs, and I think one of them did have the Siamese cat song on it, and she'd skip it every single time in the car. She'd be like, nope, we're not listening to that right now. It is annoying. It is annoying.
I think part of it is the way that the actors use their voice. It's very nasally.
It's the same person.
Well, yes, but, you know, the same person who did the cats, it's very nasally, and they kind of talk in a certain way that feels jagged, if that makes sense. And I get that that's kind of meant to hammer home the point of, like, they are pushing Lady out of her home and out of what she's comfortable with, and now she has to, you know, get used to a new normal or whatever.
I just don't like the cats in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
I don't like
neither.
it as the cultural appropriationness. I don't like them as characters. I
think, to me, I think the thing that really, like, pushes the line to me is all of the Chinese instruments they use for the song. That wasn't really necessary. That wasn't necessary. Let's all admit it. That was not necessary. They could have used different instruments. If they used different instruments, honestly, I would see it the same as the little Latino Chihuahua or the Russian bourgeois.
Or even Jacques, like the little Scotty.
Yes, the Scotty dog.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, this is, oh my gosh, something else I have to talk about. Tony and Joe bickering was so funny. Because, like, I was thinking, these are kind of stereotypical, like, Italian immigrants. I will be honest, I have no idea how accurate that is, but as someone who has seen two brothers fight, it is exactly like that. Like, that is just how it is.
Yeah. Like, pushing aside their, like, depiction, it's very clear. And honestly, like I said, I feel like this one's very harmless of a depiction, kind of like the dogs, where, like, it's not like them being Italian is the joke. The joke is that they bicker at each other, and Joe is changing his mind constantly all the time on Tony, and Tony's getting confused by it because he's like, well, just 3 minutes ago you told me one thing, and now you're telling me the complete opposite.
Which one do you think is Tony and which one do you think is Joe?
Tony's the chef, right? And Joe's the one who works with the dogs and sets the table and stuff?
No, it's the opposite.
Is it the other way?
Yeah, it's the other way. Tony plays the accordion and Joe's the one on, like, the loop mandolin thing.
Okay. Oops.
Oops.
Backwards.
Bella Notte is a beautiful song, though. I think it's a very gorgeous song. I forgot that Lady, I guess I never knew this. Lady has her own song. Like, when the baby comes, she's like, what is a baby?
Yep.
What is this thing?
I mean, it's not too much of a song. It's kind of just it's more like you know how some parts of operas, rather than having like a full song, they kind of just like sing
Don't mansplain opera to me.
No, I'm referencing it. I'm just saying, you know, like how in operas they do that.
Are you talking about recitative?
Sure. Referencing it. You've told me about it, and I'm just
Okay.
I'm saying,
I
hey,
think,
you know how they do that.
I think you're talking about recitative, is what you're saying.
So.
Which is very loose, It's not hard set. This is what you're singing with the instruments. The instruments kind of follow you as you go, and you have your own thoughts and everything.
And so it kind of seems like that's more of what's going on. Like, I don't think it's a proper musical number. More so,
recitative is proper music, but Pop Off King.
Well, what I was meaning is ladies singing is not proper singing. It's singing, it's thinking musically, if that makes sense.
Okay. I just don't think
like
you understand what you're talking about.
Like all of the times I'm humming or singing a little tune while we're walking around the house. And then you go, stop singing, that sounds terrible. But then I never remember the song again.
Anyway, what else is there to say? I like this movie. It's nice. It's simple. It's great. I think there's a lot of emotional heart to it, despite its simplicity. In fact, I think some of the beauty is the simplicity. The rat, the big ol' ugly rat. And then...
You liked the scene where the tramp is wrestling with the rat? You liked how it looked. I remember you saying that.
Oh, yeah. That was a really cool scene. Yeah. Like, I don't know.
Just a lot of the special effects and
Yeah,
stuff they used.
I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
And then... Oh, this is a spoiler. So this is just a little spoiler. When the cart fell on Trusty, I yelled so loud.
She was basically sobbing.
I screamed. Like, I don't try to be loud that much, but like I fully involuntarily screamed. It was bad. But it's okay. They pulled a Tiny Tim who did not die on us with Trusty. Okay. Spoilers done. Whatever. Anyway, and then the babies.
The baby was so cute.
Oh, I was talking about the puppies, but okay.
Oh, that too. The baby that the humans have, the human baby.
The boy
is so cute.
Okay, can we talk about why the fetch he's not wearing a diaper in the last scene?
Yeah, that's
why is he not wearing a diaper? He's just... Gosh forbid that baby have a blowout, dude. It's getting everywhere because there's no diaper to protect that baby. I'm just thinking logistically
Maybe it
here.
was normal for the time. I don't know. Probably not.
Why did the jammies have a butt flap if there's no diaper?
Oh, so that the baby can go, yes, it's time for me to poo. Can you take me to the toilet?
That baby did not look like it could talk yet. Anyway. So, we wanted to talk about, because I saw a post today, an aptly timed post, by the way, about how Lady and the Tramp is a Christmas movie, and thoughts on that. You want to know my thoughts? Dog. It's not.
Yeah.
Because only 2 scenes take place during Christmas. It's the opening scene. Oh, by the way, tangent on the opening scene. I find it so cute that Lady in the Box is actually inspired by how Walt gave his wife their dog. Yeah. I don't feel that it's a Christmas movie.
Yeah, to me it gives off the vibe of like at the end of Toy Story where they have the Christmas scene there and the puppy, or like we talked about like Die Hard, how like
we also talked about Edward Scissorhands as well with this.
About how like they technically take place at least a portion during Christmas, but
Die Hard takes place all of it during Christmas.
Well, but like they're not really Christmas movies. You know, like there's a difference between...
You're going to offend some people by saying Die Hard isn't a Christmas movie.
Well, what I was going to say is like there's a difference between The Santa Claus and Die Hard.
Yeah.
Or like, you know...
Well, but I would argue there's a difference even between Die Hard and like something like Lady and the Tramp or Edward Scissorhands or Toy Story, where their entire setting is not Christmas. Clearly, time passes and they have a Christmas scene.
Yeah.
Okay. And, like, I would even argue that Edward Scissorhands is more of a Christmas movie than Lady and the Tramp or Toy Story because its entire climax takes place during that time.
Yeah.
So, there's something to be said about that. But I truly believe, like, yeah, once you said Toy Story, I'm like, yeah, is Toy Story a Christmas? By this logic, guys, Toy Story could be your favorite Christmas movie now.
And it's
do
like
with that information
that
what you
doesn't
will.
matter. At this point, being a Christmas movie doesn't matter anymore. You know, if everything can be a Christmas movie just by having a Christmas tree in the background or you know a snowy winter landscape scene, then like nothing's a Christmas movie at that point. Is Ice Age a Christmas movie? Is that what we're learning today? The majority of the movie takes place in the snow. Clearly, it's a Christmas movie.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Is Bambi a Christmas movie?
Yeah.
Thoughts to consider. Is Melody Time is it Make Mine Music or Melody Time that has Once Upon a Winter Time? It's Melody Time. Yeah. Is Melody Time a Christmas movie now? Because it has one segment that takes place in the winter.
Yeah.
Like, let's think about these things. Let's think about these things carefully, everyone. Because let me tell you, these scenes for Lady and the Tramp are not that long. And so after like the movie concluded, I was like, yeah, I don't think this is a Christmas movie. Because I talked to him beforehand and I was like, okay, I saw this post, so just have this in your mind because I want to talk about this. And I'll be honest, the shortest scenes take place are the Christmas scenes. And so to me, I'm like, yeah, no. If longer scenes, like if the entire climax took place on Christmas, the way that Edward Scissorhands is, I could see you making an argument that it is a Christmas movie. But, and this is a big but, I don't feel that this is a Christmas movie. And there is me putting my opinion out to the world. Because I feel like more scenes take place in other seasons and longer scenes take place in other seasons. Oh, another thing. This is such a small, minute detail. Is that what zoos at the time were like? Like a park with buildings and cages? Because that's a really sad zoo. And like didn't acclimate to like the climates that these animals are supposed to live in. Because that sounds really, really sad.
I mean, we didn't see much of the zoo. There could have been more to it than there was. But yeah, you are kind of right. It is a little bit outdated compared to the zoos of our day.
I don't fully agree with zoos even today. I think that unless it's for rehabilitation purposes, I just think it's sad that some animals can't even live out in the wild because they've been in captivity for generations. And we've done that to them. So if they can't live out in the wild, I understand why they're in sanctuaries and I understand why they're in zoos. But if it's this thing of like, because they've been bred for generations within the zoo, they cannot live not in a zoo, that's just kind of tragic to me. But that's my opinion on zoos. That I'm sure nobody asked for. Anyway, I really liked this movie. Dare I say it's A tier.
That's what I was going to say. I don't know if it makes enough of an impact to reach S, but I do think, like I said, it's a very simple concept, but it does a lot with its simple concept. Mm-hmm. And it has a lot of fantastic background work, has a lot of fantastic color work. The acting is great. Like, I don't think there's a single character who I was like, that's kind of... Okay, the cats. We did talk about the cats are a little bit nasally and kind of grating.
But they're only in, like, 2 minutes of the film. And then
exactly.
So you grin and bear... You can even skip the song if you want. You can skip the song. You don't lose anything by skipping anything with the cats. You do not lose anything. If it's grating,
and
if
they literally don't come back.
They don't come back.
They don't come back. They disappear after that scene and then just leave. Mm-hmm. Which I didn't think about that till now. But yeah, you literally lose nothing by skipping that scene.
Mm-mm. You lose nothing just by skipping the song because they don't talk ever again after that song.
They don't really show up after the song.
Well, they do their damage and then they leave.
Yeah.
Like, after the song, they do the damage and then leave. Yeah, so if you want to skip the cultural appropriation, you're not missing much plot-wise. This isn't like Peter Pan, where it's kind of very plot-heavy. You can't really skip these characters. But if you want to, by all means, skip these dang characters. Like, do you have anything to say to the people?
I'll be the tramp to your lady.
This is the night. It's a beautiful night. And they call it Bella Notte. We hope you're doing well. And we hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for liking. Thank you so much for commenting. And thank you so much for subscribing. I really appreciate every single one of you, and we hope you're doing well. And this should be going up around the holidays. So if...
Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year. Happy Hanukkah. Happy Kwanzaa. What else do people celebrate? Whatever holiday you celebrate. And if you don't celebrate any holidays, that's okay too. This should be going around the holidays, but I also am not sure, so we'll see. We hope you're doing well, and don't forget to
like, comment, and subscribe.
No. Remember the simple things in life. Anyway. Bye.
Bye-bye.